Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unlocking Physical AI, Accelerate Innovation with Intrinsic Flowstate. My name is Margot Kimura, and I'm a Senior Product Manager here at Intrinsic. Today, I'm going to start with where traditional automation falls short, with a focus in CNC manufacturing. Then I'm going to go over a high-level vision and talk about how Flowstate fits into that. Then I'm going to give an overview of Flowstate and walk you through how you can go from start to finish in developing your robot application with Flowstate. And then in particular, I'm going to do some workflows for automation technicians and developers. And I'll finish with some early impacts from some of our early adopters. All right, so traditional automation today, we're finding it's just too rigid and slow in CNC manufacturing. When we talk with customers, we hear a lot of pain points, and in particularly, we hear them in these three areas: high mix use cases, in labor, and in competition. When we're talking with an end customer, they're saying, their customers are trying to innovate, everything's moving faster, and they have to keep up. They say, we get requests to make parts more quickly. Our own people end up doing it instead of waiting for the traditional robot. It ended up just being put on a shelf. So in their case, the traditional automation robot took so long to reprogram, it just got shoved in a corner, and they went back to using people. It was a very sad use case. When we talk about labor, there's kind of two main pain points we're hearing about here. The first is just finding people. So we hear over and over again, finding skilled labor to run a second or third shift is a really daunting task. And so even if you wanted to go faster by hiring more people, folks are having a really hard time just finding those folks. Moreover, we're hearing that for smaller job shops, the challenge is to change over within a shop that does not have automation expertise. So for all of these folks who have a relatively small team, they can't have one person who's an expert in programming one type of robot, another person for that can program a different type of robot. They just don't have that right now. And this all comes to a head when it comes to competition. A lot of folks are finding, there's a lot of low-cost producing countries that we have to compete with. You need to get your costs down and your production up if you want to keep up. Now, all of this kind of comes to a head when you think about it. How do you take care of this? You take care of this either through automation or by hiring more people. But they can't do automation because it's too rigid, and they can't hire more people because they can't find the right people. And so what do? This is our vision for how we're going to fix that. We believe that factories should be intelligent and interoperable. So today, traditional automation, it's good in some applications, but when we're talking about high mix and CNC, it is rigid, it is hard-coded, and it is hardware-specific, and we're hearing over and over again that it is just not working for people. Our vision is to have an intelligent factory, one that is flexible, adaptable, and scalable. So you can imagine that now you have some AI to help with predicting and orchestrating your entire factory in real time. Material flow can be handled through AMRs. You no longer have to have people pushing carts around. Programming is all going to be hardware-agnostic and skill-based. And last but certainly not least, your overall factory will be able to handle highly variable workpieces, processes, and environments. Now, this is something that is kind of a bit of a moonshot. It's going to take a while to get there, and actually making it is going to be a team sport. This is not something that anyone can do on their own. And so when we talk about developing intelligent factory, we're going to have to bring together a whole ecosystem of people, including system integrators. These are our people who design, build, commission, deploy, and maintain industrial-grade robots in the real world. These are the folks that we need to have get involved. We're also going to need a lot of developers. Developers are people who are going to combine these reusable assets into a robotic solution. They're going to provide custom user interfaces, and they're going to test and debug in simulation. We're also going to need OEMs and researchers involved. These are the folks who develop and share sophisticated assets. They simplify the calibration and configuration process, and they support customers with new releases. Last and certainly not least in this ecosystem and team, we have the manufacturers. These are the folks who we need to have champion intelligent, industrial-grade automation to solve real-world needs, including flexible manufacturing. And it's only when we can bring all of these people together that we can actually create these intelligent factories. Now, one thing to notice is that when you make your intelligent factory, it is obviously going to be built on code. Not everyone in here natively operates in code. And so how are we going to set it up so that everyone can contribute? For that, we have Flowstate. So Flowstate is an intuitive digital twin environment for developing, testing, and deploying robotic solutions. It democratizes access to physical AI because fundamentally, you do not need to be an AI researcher with a PhD to take advantage of some of our very advanced AI-based capabilities. And so, using Flowstate, anyone can leverage the collective expertise of many specialists. Through Flowstate, it ships with some cutting-edge AI, which you can just leverage using skills. Each skill is basically just a block. It's that simple. Some of the skills that we provide is AI-based perception, including our award-winning IVM model, where you just give it a CAD file of the part you want it to pick, and it finds it for you. We provide automated grasp planning, so you no longer have to tell it exactly where or how to grasp an object. We provide automated motion planning, so you tell it, start from here, go there, and you don't have to worry about it you don't have to worry about any collisions as it goes from A to B. And last but certainly not least is force-guided control and insertion. So these are some tasks that, these are some capabilities that let you achieve human-like dexterous manipulation and responsive behaviors, allowing your robots to take on tasks that previously could only be done by humans. All right, so how do you get started? Step number 1, this is going to be really simple. The first thing to do is to build your work cell in Flowstate. So Flowstate ships with a catalog of pre-made assets, as you can see here. And if you have something custom, we have these guided wizards that make it really easy to bring in your asset of any type. In addition to CAD files, we have support for cameras, grippers, and other types of hardware devices that need to connect with services as you bring them in. Step number 2 is build your process. And so programming in Flowstate is done through these blocks. It's very simple. If you've done any sort of ladder logic or any block-based programming, it's very similar. It also, as soon as you add one of these blocks, you can configure it. For certain skills, we offer suggestions on how to configure it, so you don't even need to know those details. And let's see, we offer control flow, so you can add conditions, loops, retries into your programs. And Flowstate ships with a asset catalog of pre-built skills, so you can get started right away. Now, as you're building this and you're programming your robot, if you find that there's a skill you need that isn't there, you can import custom skills built using our SDK. And so your developers can create those custom skills in C++, Python, or ROS and bring it into Flowstate. I call this step 2A because this kind of happens somewhere between setting up your scene and building your process. But you can also add cameras and perception. And we also offer a lot of guided calibration tools, again, to make this all dead simple for you to get started. You can leverage ML and AI. We have all of these. It's almost like a checklist and some guided capabilities for how to do all the calibration. If you want to create a pose estimator to figure out where something is in your scene, we also offer a guided experience for that. Step number 3, once you have your process tree and you have your scene set up, you can run it in simulation. We offer several types of simulation. There's full physics-based simulation for when you want to make sure that your solution will actually work. There's also kind of quicker versions you can use if you're just doing some early prototyping. But at the end of the day, you can use this to make sure that things will work as expected. And none of this actually requires your hardware to be built. So you can do this to test out ideas for your designs. You can do this to get a sense of what your cycle time is going to be like in the real world before you have any of that hardware in place. And last but certainly not least, once you've run it in full physics simulation and you feel confident that the simulation is working, Deploying is literally 2 clicks. You click up here, you see you want to go from simulation to real hardware. It'll take the robotic solution that you built, send it to the IPC, and actually start controlling the robot. The first time you do it is pretty magical. So Flowstate, in short, it really empowers automation technicians and software developers to collaboratively deploy physical AI into production at scale. So digging in, if you're an automation technician, you don't have to have a fancy degree. You don't have to even have gone to college to do programming in Flowstate. When you actually work with us, we provide reference solutions. So even though you can build everything up from scratch, you don't have to. We provide a starting point. And so again, you can take that reference solution, customize it with a catalog of pre-built assets, and bring in any custom assets that you need, and easily configure them. In Flowstate and the digital twin, it becomes really easy to simulate and test your robotic solution, modify your configurations, and optimize your setup. And then finally, when it comes time to deploy, again, you just click to switch it from sim to real. Software developers and folks who feel more comfortable on the command line or in an IDE, you can also contribute using your familiar tools. We have a software development kit. It ships with a dev container, a series of examples, and a library, so you can create custom skills through C++, Python, or ROS. We also offer the solution building library that lets you build that process tree in Python. And then last but not least, once you've created any of these software-based assets, you can release it to your organization's package in the asset catalog, which that means like you as a developer can create a custom skill, throw it up into the catalog, and then your colleague who wants to program using those blocks can just pull it down as one of those blocks. It makes it really accessible. I also want to call out that Flowstate offers guided experiences for all users. So we have configuration suggestions. As you see here, you can just click Suggest Configuration, and it'll fill in some of the items for you. We also have wizard-like flows for calibration. When it comes to debugging, which is always kind of a big issue, whether it's debugging something that's in production or debugging something that you're developing, we also offer a lot of tools, including a visual tool for creating recordings to really capture the data around that so that you can dig into it and do root cause analysis. Last but certainly not least, once you've used Flowstate to deploy several robots, we help with debugging issues across deployments by offering a clean list of all of your solutions, what's in them, and how they differ across 2 deployments, so you can figure out why things are working in one work style but not the other. And so this is, I don't want this to just be theoretical. We have some units out there in the field. Early adopters are already seeing the benefits, but don't take it from me, take it from the words of some of our customers. From one customer who bought a Trinity AI solution, they said, it's such a huge increase in productivity. AI automation completely changes that game, and now we can directly compete even with the Asian market of manufacturing. They also mentioned that after they got their first machine and then started cranking out really good quality parts at an extremely fast pace, now they have almost every machine automated. They're really leaning into this advantage, and they're finding that it's making such a huge difference for them, which I gave away the third one. They said it's definitely filling the voids in our production, and automation that we've been looking for, it's going to make a huge difference. So bringing these intelligence into their manufacturing is really helping them scale. From another customer, it said, once we adopted automation and ran 24/7, we were able to bring parts back to the US. In this day and age, that's huge. They said we can run a batch of only 20 pieces, and it gives us a lot of flexibility. So this is really getting after that high-mix use case that I talked about earlier. They also mentioned that with the AI system, it's a lot more easy for people to learn the interface and be able to set it up themselves rather than depending on 1 or 2 key people. So for this customer, they were able to take their existing team and upskill them into using all of these intelligent capabilities. And last but not least, this one's actually my favorite. The technology that comes with AI automation is making machine shops attractive again to the next generation. A lot of folks have been worried about not enough young people getting into CNC manufacturing, And they find that this is really helping making it cool again. Just to really quickly recap about intrinsic flow state, when we talk about this intelligent factory, I really want to drive home. This is a team sport. So Flowstate offers visualization and simulation tools for both automation technicians and software developers. It runs the whole gamut. We've even heard from some pretty hardcore software developers that they love Flowstate for making sure that everything works. Point number 2, Flowstate unlocks physical AI. So we provide out-of-the-box AI skills that democratizes access to physical AI so anyone can deploy it onto the factory floor today. We're finding that Flowstate is streamlining workflows. So you can start with a pre-made robotic solution, modify and test in simulation, and then deploy it to hardware in 2 clicks. It keeps everything very simple. And certainly last but not least is early adopters are already seeing value. We're finding that Flowstate is already unlocking high mix. It's reshoring manufacturing and upskilling teams with more impact to come. All right, thank you so much for staying with me and for listening about my presentation. I'll be around if you have any questions. Thanks.